I love him in this this segment in Creep Show. How much cocaine was he on?
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's back when he was really cocaine.
How much was there?
That much? No, seriously.
That was back when he was way into cocaine.
And he admits it. He's like, at that time, I was way into cocaine. All right, we're gonna do this real quick. I just want to bring this up, man, because I think this is interesting. Because this brings up something that I was wondering when this would occur, or this was something that would actually pop up with Stephen King. Stephen King, you know, great writer, man. Some people say one of the most influential writers of our time, and a lot of people still want to nail that hard shit on him. But he is a great writer, man. He's a great storyteller.
Yeah,
he has written so many different things. He's written fantasy, drama. He's written, of course, horror. Man's known for his horror, but he's written so many other things, man. And he's written so much and influenced so many people's lives and their creativity in so many different ways. Look, I'm one of the dudes that actually gives a man credit for even his acting. Creep Show. One of my favorite movies of all time. Watch that annually. And
he's the worst segment on there.
You know what?
Meteor shit.
I'll be dipped in shit if that ain't a meteor. The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill, man. I know it's not good, and when we look at this clip, I'm not gonna defend it. But
you better not.
But I love him in this segment in Creep Show. How much cocaine was he on?
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's back when he was really cocaine.
How much was there?
That much? No, seriously.
That was back when he was way into cocaine.
And he admits it. He's like, at that time, I was way into cocaine.
Holy old Jesus! I'd be dipped in shit if that ain't a meteor.
Meteor. Oh yeah, you're right when he cussed that old meteor shit. Let me see. This dumbass gonna touch it too.
Yeah. I wonder how much they'd pay for it up to college. Wonder how much they'd pay for it.
He's straight cross-eyed.
And what happened to his accent in that scene? In that one shot, his accent went right out the window.
Nah, he look. But I love Stephen King for even like trying. Like, there's not a lot of great literary authors out there that would like that would be this playful, that would do something like this, man. And I admired him for it. You know,
I liked him in It too.
Yeah, he was actually. It's probably through time, man, that he got better too.
Yeah,
you know, because he does a lot of cameos in movies and TV shows. Like, he did a cameo one time because one of his favorite shows was or is what was that biker show?
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy. Yeah, he did a cameo in that one time because he loves that show. But yeah, he was great in It too.
You want to use that kind of language? Take it out in the street.
That bike used to be mine.
Well, it's mine now.
He's also a bitch in this movie too. But yeah, Stephen King, man. People love Stephen King because I think one of the things that people love about Stephen King is that they see that Stephen King not only is a great storyteller, but they see him doing these cameos, man. They see him in interviews, and they see how he lives. Mm-hmm. They know all the drugs he's done before, and they just say, you know, this dude hasn't let it go to his head.
Right.
He'll come out and just speak his mind against all these hypocrite politicians, and he can't stand Trump.
Yeah.
He with Trump.
Oh yeah, constantly.
Constantly. Cannot stand Trump. If he could die and come back and hunt Trump, he would do it. Today, my man said something that got people a little hot. Did you read this?
No, I didn't.
I did.
Did you read it? Mm-hmm. They say here, you know, we know that when the Oscars come out with their nominations, it's always controversy, and that controversy it extends beyond the nominations.
Yeah, as much as people, I don't care about the Oscars. I don't give a shit about the Oscars. The Oscars don't even matter. Really, because there's so much chatter that comes after the nominations and the awards go out.
Yep. It don't matter to me. I don't like awards anyway. Well, why are you talking about it for the last 72 hours? I mean, this is making headlines still. The Oscar nominations. And Stephen King, you know, he's hit that point now where every time he puts out a tweet or says something, people are like, yeah, you tell him, Stephen. Yeah, you let him know. And he came out today with his remarks about diversity at the Oscars, and people are like, yeah, Stephen, what the f? What? No, hold on. What? What'd you say? This is from Up Rocks, but it's all over. Stephen King's remarks about the lack of diversity in this year's Oscar nominees aren't going over very well. Let me go ahead and see what he said here. Of course, you know, he's putting out his tweets just like everybody else. And he says, I would never consider diversity in matters of art, only quality. It seems to me that to do otherwise would be wrong. As a writer, I'm allowed to nominate in just 3 categories: Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Original Screenplay. For me, the diversity issue, as it applies to individual actors and directors anyway, did not come up. That said, and let me see, follow through here. He says, the most important thing that we can do as artists and creative people is make sure everyone has the same fair shot, regardless of sex, color, or orientation. Right now, such people are badly underrepresented, and not only in the arts. You can't win awards if you were shut out of the game. A lot of people still say, yeah, I know you followed up with that last part right there, but let's go back to this first half right here and address this, because I think you got it wrong. And this is how much people respect Stephen King, because people come in and be like, this motherfucker, can you believe it? They weren't like that.
Yeah, but
people,
this is day one.
Yeah, it was. See, because there was, I would tell you, there was one asshole had to come in with "Okay, boomer."
Yeah.
So not, we didn't get away scot free, but mostly the tone has been, with much due respect, Mr. King. I love you, but can I just say, again, respectfully, I disagree. A lot of people have come in and they've said,
I've read wow, for somebody I admire, you really did let me down with this.
This is from Ava DuVernay, director Ava DuVernay. When you wake up, meditate, stretch, reach for your phone to check on the world and see a tweet from someone you admire that is so backward and ignorant, you want to go back to bed. Laura Lippman, with all due respect, I'm afraid that a meritocracy would work only if meritocracy would only work if the game weren't rigged. This is from Morgan Jurgens. Take my hat off with the utmost respect, Mr. King. I have to say, I think this is quite a bit unfair. When films created by people of color, irrespective of quality, constantly get overlooked by institutions that are predominantly comprised of white men, there is an implicit bias at work here. I'll read one more. Mindy McLeod. Quality is subjective. Your determination of quality may include bias of which you are not aware. Nobody's really going at them hard. People are offering their, there was one, I feel let down, which I can understand because Stephen King has had a lot of influence on a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I can understand that, man, especially if people are coming from a creative area. But, let me go ahead and get the opinion from you guys. How do you feel about this situation, the response that he's getting?
Well, the people who are having these responses, they even quote the first part of what he said.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfair to only take out part of it and not include the rest.
Yeah.
Because that could change the whole context. Because what he says in the second part, I was like, this is exactly what I was saying yesterday.
Yeah.
It does change the whole context when you take that part of it out.
Yeah.
And people always want to focus on one block of what you said. Like, I'll be honest with you. I don't agree exactly with what he said at the beginning, but I was like, because you saw my face, I was like, I thought he had just been like N-word, and if I ain't nominating Soul Plane, but he not followed it up, he finished it up, wrapped it up with saying, I don't care about that, but it doesn't matter because if nobody gets a shot, then you can't even be considered for anything.
Yeah.
If you don't even get the chance to even present your material. I think that's why he brought up the point like, hey, as a writer, as an author, I'm only allowed to vote for these things. Mm-hmm. And these things are always shut out, so I have to vote on this. I think that's what he was saying. I'm sorry, please go ahead.
Oh, well, it just seems like if you walk through, like, backwards through what he's saying, like, you switch the algebra on it, he's saying if everybody got in an ideal world where everybody got the shot and got to be represented, then diversity is not something that should be a consideration. Just
excellent
quality.
Point. Excellent point.
But but since that doesn't happen, this is the problem.
This phrasing is important here because he let out, I would never consider diversity in matters of art, only quality. It seems to me that to do otherwise would be wrong. So there's still that comment there. Listen, people like to people like to be on one side. People they want to be on the side of, I agree exactly with what he's saying. Move on. And then there's the people like, I'm completely upset by this and I feel disappointed. I don't know if I can support this guy. I don't know how this makes me feel. Everything is worth having a discussion over. Everything is, none of this is black and white. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think Stephen King meant anything about it. That comment, to start out with that and just make a definitive statement, I would never. Yeah, it leads people the wrong way. And I can understand the disappointment, especially since people really love Stephen King and he's been somebody that for years, has never had any real controversy. It has never come out and really, except for the people that he didn't give a shit about. And he meant what he said, the people that are disappointed in him, but never really disappointed anybody. Everybody thought, Stephen King's a real down-ass dude. And I love Stephen King myself. And I think Stephen King is a very open-minded person. But hearing him talk about diversity there's something that's bothered me about Stephen King for years, and I would give you, and I'm glad that this is getting brought up because I always said if I ever, by some chance, by some miracle, ever had an interview with Stephen King, I've said this for over 10 years, if I ever get a chance to talk to this man, I would bring this up. And I thank Stephen King, and it's always bothered me, man, because I've seen it for years, and there's a time I never really said anything about it because I love some of his stories so much. And I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to say anything bad about the man, and plus I don't want to feel bad watching stuff that I really enjoyed and feel like I couldn't enjoy it as much. But it has to be addressed. I think Stephen King looks at a certain group of people, especially people of color, let me just say black people. I think he sees them as a certain type in his storytelling. And there are patterns throughout his career where you see that. They're either victims, they are magical, mystical Negroes, they are sacrifices. If you look at the history of his work, you will see this. The Green Mile is one of the biggest ones. The Green Mile has Michael Clark Duncan. He's the only black character in the movie. He talks like he's a big man child, talks like a slave, and at that point, this character pretty much is kind of a slave type.
Well, in all fairness, it's implied that he used to be a slave because he's lived for all this time.
For all this time, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about now. Let's talk about the diversity in his work.
Oh, sure. Okay.
We always have characters like this. The whole thing. You leave the light on for me and gives me a wee bit of pickle on my lunch.
Do you leave the light on after bedtime?
There doesn't seem to be any real violence in him.
And also, he's a sacrifice in the movie. There's a lot of movies that do that. Terminator 2 is something where it's like, wow, if you watch James Cameron's movies, man, a lot of them, Alien starts, and you ask a lot of people, Alien starts with all the black characters dying, all of them. Only black character in Terminator 2 is, and this guy's a family, but he's just set to blow himself up and just save everybody else, and we're not even get a chance to even reflect on his death.
He just keeps going.
It just keeps going. But also we see these same kind of characters like Mother Abigail in The Stand. There's two major moments in that book with black characters. Mother Abigail, who again is a magical, mystical Negro type.
We dreamed of you, Mother. Of you and the other fella.
That's Ruby Dee, who plays, Mother Abigail. She's over 100 years old. She brings everybody together. But, while everybody's modern and everything, she's pretty much talking that Southern, that Southern slave or mystical, magical Negro talk or whatever you want to say. There's even a part in the book of The Stand, which I remember reading. I was just like, wow, we don't have any major characters of color here except for, Mother Abigail in this big story where it was a black junta that happened. Where it was a bunch of, it was televised when everything was going all to hell when Captain Trips, the virus, was taking everybody out. All these black dudes all of a sudden decided to join up and put on loincloths and assassinate white people on camera. Oh. Yeah, and I remember that. It stood out to me because the way he described it, I was like, why they've got to be loincloths and why it's got to be called a black junta going on and shit. I was like, wow, man. It's a constant thing that I see, even in The Shining. Even The Shining, Scatman Crothers, who in the book I'm sure is kind of the same. He doesn't die in the book. Spoiler for anybody out there, but the character's probably kind of similar in Stephen King's mind.
Well, I can remember when I was a little boy,
My grandmother and I could hold conversations entirely without ever opening our mouths.
Again, I'm not saying that that's
A common denominator with all these characters is that they're all very gentle. They're you know they're it's like okay, this is a gentle
except
kind
for the Negroes
person.
and loincloths killing people, but
Except
you
for
know.
that, but with these major characters you're talking about, they're all gentle characters who just want to do the right thing. It's easy for the audience to fall in love with them. Plus, they're black, so they had a hard time in life, but they overcame that to be kind people anyway. So when you sacrifice and kill them off, it hurts more.
Yeah, but that's again, there's the gentle Negro in the movie is a problem.
Oh yeah, no, this is not me disagreeing with you.
Because
I'm just putting a circle around.
Because it's not to make you feel bad for them more. It's to make you feel happy that you're sad, but you're happy that they died for all the other characters in the movie. In a way,
I suppose. I mean,
Yeah.
it gives some meaning to their death.
it's the sacrificial lamb
Yeah.
problem, and that is something that has always been a problem within movies for people of color too.
Sure,
It's the sacrificial lamb syndrome. It's a pattern that happened. It's almost like if Stephen King wants to change his characters from to black in a movie, you know, they can get Morgan Freeman. Because I was gonna say Shawshank Redemption doesn't count
because he's white in the book.
Because he's white in the book, and in Dreamcatcher that mother. Cartoon, goddamn caterpillar eyebrows.
Like a Thundercat.
Speaking of Creepshow, I remember even how Stephen King describes black people. It's not like they're people. Like I don't have the scene, but I can show you the character. Like I love the short. Don't get me wrong. Now, this is not a rant against Stephen King, but I think he's flawed in his depiction of black people a lot. I love that scene with the hitchhiker. Thanks for the ride, lady.
Thanks for the ride. Thanks for the ride, lady. Thanks for the ride, lady.
That's in Creepshow?
That's in Creepshow 2.
Oh, okay.
Two,
I never saw 2.
Oh yeah, she hits this drifter, and the drifter keeps, and she did a hit and run.
Yeah, she keeps driving.
And she keeps driving. And the EC comic part of this if you want to put the gore, every time she sees him, she runs him over. So he keeps looking worse and worse every time. That's right. Like at the end, he's just a blob, and he's still thanks for the ride. But even then, the guy's a drifter.
Yeah.
You know, he's some homeless drifter. And then when the EMS gets there, Stephen King does his cameo, and even he's like, I don't know, it's some black guy, and I was like, you know,
that wasn't even necessary, man.
Yeah, it wasn't necessary, really. Yeah, you know, I'm just telling y'all, man. When Stephen King talks about diversity, he's probably not as much as I love Stephen King, and I'm not going against him. And this isn't something where, again, don't think that every time we discuss these things, because everybody expects, like, well, I don't want to seem like I'm enraged about it, or I'm mad about it. It's not just something that ruined my day. It's not. It's a discussion, and this is about a guy that I believe is flawed when it comes to diversity. I don't think Stephen King really is an authority to talk about diversity based on his work, if you look at it.
Growing up and living in Maine, I think we'll do that.
It is, but again, you are not the authority on diversity if you weren't surrounded by diversity, and if it does not reflect in your work. And he can say what he wants to say. I don't, just like we're doing right now, I don't think it's bad for people to come in and be like, well, you know, I kind of disagree. And actually, if you look at what, you know, you've done, I mean, in a friendly, respectful manner, it's okay. But I get it, man. You know, it's just like I'm not one to talk about, you know, the pain of women if I haven't gone through it, you know. Mm-hmm. I can't tell a woman when she's giving birth, like, stop bitching. It's all right. That shit don't hurt. You know, she's like, well, you put a baby out your ass and see how it works. See how much it hurts you, you know. Judging by his patterns, man, I don't think he really understands diversity as much as he thinks he does. And so therefore, you know, when I see him write a quote like that, I'm like, hold on, man. You know, you might want to check yourself real quick. But I look forward to whatever he does all the time.
Well, I guess I agree in concept what you're saying, but what he wrote, I don't have it's not like what he said was wrong.
Again, it's not that you can sit up here and just say just flat out, man, that was wrong. But I do think that was what he started out with. That's a definitive, and that is worth discussing right there.
How far apart in time are these posts?
Oh, that's a good question too.
Because that's gonna weigh heavily on my decision. How I feel about it.
There's one that's 6:20. Here, I'll show you. There's one that's 6:20, followed up by Well, I guess this was first 618 and 620, 856, 859. So all in the morning, you know.
Well, I just wanted because I mean, like, if he didn't end it with wrap it up with the other stuff, I would like if it was just that first one, I'd be like, what the f- are you talking about? You know, I mean, I'm not sure I would be completely offended, but I would be like, you don't know what the f- you're talking about.
I still don't think he
You know what
understands. I mean, I'll give you that. That's just my opinion. I still don't think he understands.
Sure,
But
I agree with you.
But I don't think like Stephen King meant anything by it. But I do think somebody needs to hold him to task for certain things that we've seen right here if he wants to bring up diversity. But I don't think he means anything.
Sure, you can not mean anything by what you're saying, but you still need to be held accountable for it.
Yeah,
a
little bit. You know. I mean, that's what Twitter does, man. I think that's for everybody, whether we're talking about this issue or anything. Things you got to really be careful what you say on Twitter. If you're gonna hang out on Twitter,
I'm telling you, man, that's why I barely write anything on there.
I do too. I say
because I could see writing something and then it taking another 2 hours before I did a follow up because I had to like go in and carefully construct each word that went into that.
And I think it's a very casual way to say something where it means it, you know, holds more water with a lot of other people. To say I would never consider diversity in matters of art to people who have no diversity. And believe me, you know, we understand. At least I do. That means a lot more than probably to people who don't have to live through that. You know, who don't have to suffer from that. While people, you know, we talk about the lack of it right now. So yeah, you know. Anyway.